The Bmore Football Podcast is brought to you by Rice Law.
Hello and welcome inside this latest edition. It is the Bmore Football Podcast. He is the longtime Baltimore Sun columnist Mike Preston. I'm Jerry Coleman. We're producing brand new content. You can follow us every day, whether it be on X, Facebook, Instagram, or our YouTube page. The address is the same, Bmore Sports Pod. That is Bmore Sports Pod. It's one word. You can also watch us at baltimoresun.com. In this episode, Mike and I also will give you our thoughts on the Ravens' close victory at Cleveland and how this team is taking advantage of its schedule. In addition, we'll have some strong opinions on the NFL's latest spitting episode. Plus, Mike's report card with some surprising grades, at least from my perspective. But we'll kick off with For the Birds, as always, brought to you by Rice Law. Hey, Baltimore football fans, if you've been hurt in a car accident, don't go at it alone. The lawyers at Rice Law know how to fight for the compensation you deserve. Protect yourself, protect your family, and remember, best advice, call Rice. Learn more by going to ricelawmd.com. That's ricelawmd.com. Mike, the Ravens survive in Cleveland, not a dominating or impressive victory by any stretch of the imagination. So are they prevailing because of their opponent's quarterback, or is this just a byproduct, I should say, of facing, again, quarterbacks like J.J. McCarthy, Tua Tagovailoa, Dylan Gabriel, or Shedeur Sanders?
I think it's a combination of all those things. It's the week schedule, and you knew it was coming up, and we kind of talked about that months ago and just said they'll get to this point where they might be 1-5, but they got some easy cupcakes coming up. The quarterbacks are terrible. I mean, J.J. McCarthy, when they faced him, I think it was his fourth start. The game the other day, especially when Sanders got in the game, I knew it was over. It was done because he was either going to win it or he was going to bring him back with a miraculous performance, or he was going to stink it up. And you're watching that game and you're just saying, this guy really looks lost. Looked like he had never run a blitz. Maybe he was asking for his dad. Hey, Dion, come on and help me. Tell me what's going on here. But he had no clue. And the Ravens won, but their offense was pretty bad. The defense, I mean, who in the Cleveland offense scares you? What guy? And Joko may be the tight end, but other than that, Judy, no, not happening. So they win, and that's the best thing you can say about it. They won. That's it.
Exactly. All right, there's a couple of issues and players we need to address. Let's start with the quarterback, Lamar Jackson. He had two unfortunate interceptions, both off deflections, but I don't put that all on him because I thought Keaton Mitchell should have caught that first ball, but his play altogether was as bad as I've seen in quite some time. He doesn't have the same burst. Anyone who wants to debate that isn't watching him closely. He's lost a step. I don't know if it's from injury or age or whatever. His accuracy isn't there. I thought that was one of his most dismal performances we have seen in some time, Mike.
Yeah, I graded him at a C-, and that was being nice to him. Lamar, the burst isn't there. The acceleration isn't there. The problems I have with him is his thought process, where he's back in the pocket and he's just taking too much time to throw the ball or just take off. And, Jerry, remember, I talked about this a month ago where I just said he's not the same guy. I don't know if it's injury. I don't know if they changed their offense. He's still not the same guy. And then you watch him in the last two games. Has not played well. For all those people kept saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. All I was doing was just giving an observation and analysis of what I had seen. And I was correct. And maybe they'll give him some time off. I don't know what's going on, but it's something that's a factor. And it will be a factor when they start talking about contract extensions, because that's a major key. He's been in the league 8 years. All right. And he's a running quarterback. He's a dual threat, the best dual threat running back, quarterback in the history of the NFL. But still, he's taking a lot of hits. And one day you just wake up and the body aches and you slow down. That's life.
How much are they a byproduct of the terrible offensive line, which, I mean, you have five guys lining up in front of them. none seem worthy of protecting him on a consistent basis. They gave up 5 sacks, 4 to one guy. He's already been sacked 23 times. Ravens haven't gone a game this year without permitting a sack, Mike.
Well, the thing with the offensive line, it's all about timing. I mean, and you got to know the guy next to you, and you just get as much time in playing with him as you can. Are they a problem? Yes, especially the 2 guards. Even the center, Linderbaum is not playing well. Roger Rosengard isn't playing well. And Ronnie Stanley, the left tackle, has been in the league 10 years, starting to slow down a little bit. That happens. But is that all of Lamar's problems? No. He's slow in making reads, slow in delivering the ball. Again, it goes back to the thought process and what's going on there. And you look at some other things. I mean, like Derrick Henry got run down after a 59-yard run. I've never seen that happen to Derrick Henry, ever. And as you watch the film a little bit where he's starting to run and open it up, and I'm waiting, he's going to just pull away. He didn't pull away. You could see him starting to tighten up a little bit, and I'm like, that's not good for Derrick Henry because I don't see anybody, and I don't care who ran him down or if they had an angle. Derrick Henry does not get run down. He's a freak. He's a great player. I love Derrick Henry, but what I saw Sunday made me think a little bit like, he's been around a little bit too. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, back to the offensive line on Monday, Coach Harbaugh said we're putting the 5 best guys out there. That's the 5 best they have. It's going to be a long season. Season.
Well, who did they put out there?
The same guys they started the season with. There's no cavalry coming to the rescue.
Look, we knew once training camp was over, we said, okay, if they have an injury on the offensive line, they're in trouble because these are the 5 best guys they have. Ben Cleveland? Oh, I don't think so, Scooter. Not happening. All right. They got the rookie Emery, whatever his name is. You're going to stick a rookie out there with Lamar Jackson, your quarterback that you're paying like $50 million a year? Nah, not happening. So those are basically the 2 options that they have, and they're not going to make that move. As long as they keep winning, I think they'll stay with the same lineup. And again, hopefully it kicks in, but I don't think it is. I just think, and I wrote about it at the beginning of the season, training camp. This is the weak link of this team right here is the offensive line, and it has turned out that way.
And let's mention the game record that was Myles Garrett. This guy, we knew coming in he was going to be a terror, and still they couldn't stop him. I don't know why they didn't make adjustments sooner, but this guy had 3 sacks before I could blink.
Yeah, I think he finished with 4, and they finished with 5 sacks. The problem is when you go in a game, it's like when Ray Lewis played for the Ravens. You knew where Ray Lewis was at all the time. You just knew, and you had to focus on him. And if you had a double team, or even if you had a triple team, you would do that. Myles Garrett is the best defensive player in the National Football League. I know where he is. Well, I'm going to double him, and I'm probably going to chip with the tight end. And then I'm going to go 3 if I have to slide a running back over there to get a little piece of him. They didn't do that until the second half, and then they kind of woke up and said, "Oh my, we got to change this around." Well, I put that on the offensive coordinator, Ty Monken. You got to do a better job.
Yeah, how do you come into that game not knowing that's the one guy you have to account for and not have 2 guys chipping away at him, whether it be a Ricard and Andrews or a Henry and Ricard or Henry and Andrews, but he commands 2 guys, not one-on-one.
Yeah, and I probably would have ran away from him a little bit. I probably would have given him a combo. Probably would have tried to trap him a little bit because of his quickness and his speed. But, it was kind of interesting is at one point he was like 9 yards off of Ronnie Stanley's outside shoulder. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. Because what happens if you don't have a tight end to that side and he's there, all you're doing is itching to get out there and step. And then you don't know if you're stepping too flat, you're stepping backwards. It's a problem for offensive tackles, even a good one like Ronnie Stanley. But Myles Garrett is the guy. I mean, and he's the one guy I'm going to slow down on that defense. It didn't happen.
Yeah, I just wish there was a way he could end up in a Ravens uniform, but that's never going to happen, in my opinion. They would have to give up the farm for him at this juncture. But, he took the money and decided to stay in Cleveland. Now he can make a lot of money and just lose a lot of football games.
Well, I'm not feeling sorry for him because he stayed in in Cleveland, not with the kind of money he's making, but still, he's still young enough where maybe near the end of his career, he slides to another team that is at least in contention. But right now, when you're young, you make the money. That's what they do. And at the end, they go for the ring. He's still young enough to make the money, but that gets old after a while.
Yeah, well, he's stuck in Cleveland. Fortunately, you got out on Sunday night or at least Monday morning. You don't have to stay there. All right, on to the special teams. They had two major gaffes. Rookie LeJontay Wester. To me, he's one muff punt away from being replaced by Keaton Mitchell on a permanent basis, perhaps, and getting a ticket to John Harbaugh's doghouse. And then the other major miscue was Jake Hummel, who's not a rookie, but jumping off sides on a punt attempt and gave the ball back to Cleveland. That's just inexcusable.
Well, let's put it to you this way. I can at least understand the fumble because of the wind and the conditions there in Cleveland. But jumping off sides, the ball's right there in front of your face. And I tell this to all the defensive linemen I've ever coached. The ball's right there. There is no excuse for you to jump early. Watch the ball. Look at the ball. Well, he jumps off sides. They get a first down. And Wester, I would agree. I think he caught one on like the 2-yard line, 3-yard line. Upon him, like, no. Let that go in the end zone. And then he fumbled one, and I'm like, nah. I would have had him on the sideline sitting next to me and just saying, look, this is what we want. This is what you're going to give us. And if you can't, you're going to spend the rest of your time here in Baltimore standing next to me until you figure this out. I was a little surprised that they put him back into the game. I wouldn't call it the evolution of a head coach. I would just say, nah, not yet. He feels that this guy's the best answer for the punt return position. So that's it.
Yeah, he's definitely on notice. No doubt about that. All right, let's move on to the tush push, also known now as Hurricane, a gutsy fourth down call in the fourth quarter by the Ravens, Todd Monken. And I mean, this is something we had not seen before, where they're utilizing Ricard, Andrews, and Henry all together, and Lamar as sort of a decoy. I love the play call. I just want to know why they can't be more imaginative going forward, and why these guys weren't in the equation at the very beginning when you have bodies like Ricard and Andrews and Henry. Utilize them.
Well, they should have been, especially when your starting quarterback, Lamar Jackson, is out of the lineup. That's when you come up with the trick plays. And it never happened. And I was just waiting for this to materialize. And it was never there. Is it a gutsy call? It was a gutsy call by John Harbaugh and Todd Monken. Would I have done that? Oh, heck no. I'm kicking the field goal because they have no quarterback that's going to take up down the field. I'm going to send out Tyler Lupin saying, okay, let's go 4 for 4, kick this thing, win it, because they can't go down the field. And that was true. That was correct. But great call, great blocking by Charlie Kohler and Ricard on the outside. Man, you talk about, and that's what I look at all the time is the line play and who's doing what. Charlie Kohler gets a piece of that guy on the outside. And if he doesn't make that block, he comes across and he at least slows him down. And then Ricard, he just blew him up and pushed him to the outside. Big, huge hole. Great play. But remember this, Jerry, where do we see that play at? Detroit. Remember, they ran it on the Ravens down on the goal line. And, hey, man, if you ain't stealing, you ain't trying. That's the way the NFL works. Hey, great call, great play. Would I have called it? No. But, hey, they made the move. They made a decision, and it worked. So they win.
Yep, and keep up with the creativity because you're going to need that formation again going forward in much tighter games against defenses as good as the Browns. One point as to why they went for it, I think maybe lack of trust in the defense. I mean, even though the Ravens were facing a pair of rookie quarterbacks, they barely stopped them until the very end. I mean, thanks to Shedeur Sanders giving it away.
Well, Shedeur Sanders was lost. I mean, the other guy, Gabriel, he wasn't much better, but at least he had a better chance or more success to possibly pull it off. But it wasn't happening. Their offensive line was not very good. There were plays that Kyle Hamilton made where he just blitzed up the middle and he just threw the lineman down. And I'm like, nah, that should never happen, especially inside on the guard play. That can't happen. But they just run a very good football team. And I said this last week, if the Ravens don't gift wrap it and give them turnovers, they cannot and will not score. And they didn't score. They scored field goals, but they couldn't score touchdowns. That's a major key in this game. And the Ravens were good enough to score one touchdown at the end, and they pulled out the victory. But again, kudos to the Ravens. They have to win games. We're not in the style points yet. Style points come in late December, early January. Forget the style points. Win. That's all it's about right now. Win.
More of the Bmore Football Podcast right after this.
At Rice Law, we've won millions for our injury clients, taken on the biggest insurance companies, and fought in the toughest courtrooms, and made it clear, strong lawyers win strong cases. But none of that matters today. The only case that matters is yours, your fight, your future. And we're ready to go to battle for you. We don't rest on past victories. We fight every case like it's our only one. Because at Rice Law, the most important victory is the one we win for you.
Rice Law. Best advice, call Rice.
Shop Maryland's largest adult use and medical cannabis menu, located at 1114 Cathedral Street in Baltimore, with medical delivery available throughout Maryland 7 days a week, only at Relief Shop.
For the last 25 years, Wood Home Insurance has been Baltimore's premier independent home, auto, and business insurance broker, representing over 30 carriers. For example, need an auto quote? Wood Home shops them all. Geico, Progressive, Travelers, AAA, Safeco, and Selective, and sends you back the best rates possible. I have personally been a client for over 2 decades, and they are world-class in service. Wood Home's owner, Rich Gottlieb, is happy to schedule a Zoom appointment with you at your convenience. Oh, and Rich is a longtime Ravens season ticket holder, so when at the game, let him know where you're tailgating. He'll drop by and say hello. So for all your needs, it's Wood Home Insurance, 410-580-2800 or woodhomeinsurance.com.
Meet the newest member of the Jack Daniels family, Jack Daniels Tennessee Blackberry. Jack Daniels takes pride in Old Number 7 being the backbone of all our flavors, and Jack Daniels Blackberry is no exception. A combination of our proprietary black liqueur and Jack Daniels' unique and unmistakable character, Jack Blackberry is a highly versatile juxtaposition of flavor. Delightfully sweet, bold, vibrant, and refreshing, Jack Blackberry is easily enjoyed with your favorite mixer, in a cocktail, or while enjoying your next football game. Jack Daniels Tennessee Blackberry is here, and as always, Jack Daniels reminds you to drink responsibly. Effective Solutions, your one-stop shop for commercial contracting. Everything from excavation and site development to emergency remediation and restoration. Effective Solutions specializes in many forms of commercial and mixed-use construction. With a dedicated staff and a commitment to quality, Effective Solutions delivers every time.
Now, staying with the defense, Kyle Hamilton, we seemingly talk about him every weekend for good reason. This guy has become the clear-cut leader inside the locker room, at least on the defensive side. He's accountable after the games, always speaking, seems to be the face of the defense right now. And I don't know, could be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation if he keeps up the pace he's at right now. The Ravens have to improve, I think. But what about the season he is putting together, coming off, obviously, another All-Pro year?
I thought when they brought in the guy Coleman and they let Stark stay on the back end and they moved Hamilton up near the line of scrimmage, that was a major key for this football team. And what you see them do is, and again, I still question the size factor and will he wear down, but hey, he's got a long, lean body. He can get his hands up, and he knocked down 3 passes the other day. He had like 3 or 4 tackles for losses, and he was one of the team's leading tacklers. He's having a great year. Player of the year, defensive player of the year, that's a little stretch because their defense is pretty bad at this point. It's getting better, but it's still bad. But he's the best tackler on this team. There is no question to me about that. At least when he's in on it, you know that he's going to bring the guy down, or he's at least going to hold on long enough to get it done. But he's having an excellent season, and he's the key to that defense.
Yeah, he's definitely been worthy of that first-round draft pick status. And the guy that took him in the first round was not far from you, I'm told, inside the press box. I read it in the Baltimore Sun. I know it's true that Eric DeCosta was watching the game with the unwashed media. Eric DeCosta, who said he's going to come on this very podcast, by the way, I should mention.
I've got a lot of respect for certainly Mike. I'm not sure as much if I have as much for you, but no, I'm just kidding, Jerry. You know, I'll always do anything for you and Mike. You guys, I appreciate the passion and the coverage that you guys have given us over the last, I think this is our 30th season, and that's awesome. And we respect you guys for what you guys do and appreciate the coverage.
Sure. We're still waiting for that moment. But I saw that Eric DaCosta, who usually is watching the game from the sidelines, was up in the press box. Was it too cold in Cleveland, or did he want to be near the journalists?
And have you ever been to Cleveland by the mistake by the lake, and that wind's coming up off of that river or lake or whatever it is? It is cold. All right. And you're not going to stay down there for an entire game. So I don't blame him. I would have been up in the press box too. It's warmer up there. And what's kind of amazing is they sat right behind us. And sometimes you can hear stuff that they say, which is kind of funny, but you don't repeat it. You don't let it out. It's just they're guys watching games and they're into it. And I like the emotional aspect of it because that's a great thing. And they get all full of piss and vinegar. That's good stuff, man. I like it like that.
Was Ozzie around?
Of course. He's Ozzie. He's the Hall of Famer. I mean, he's got guys up there. There are reporters up there who are like 72 years old coming up to him and still talking to him and thinking he's the guy, the man. And it's always cool. I think it's a great thing for Ozzie to go back home to Cleveland. And right up the street, 45 minutes away, is the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he's there. I always go there, Jerry. I always make it a stop to go in there once every year when they play the Browns, just to go up and visit, because I like watching the old film of Butkus, Ozzie Newsome, and Ozzie. John Mackey was still a better tight end than you. Okay, I'm letting you know that. All right.
Well, you should go to Kent. There's not much to do outside of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, so why not make that trip?
That is very true.
Not much else going on, but great for the Wizard of Oz to be back there and help the Ravens celebrate 30 years of football in Baltimore while in Cleveland.
Yeah, good deal.
All right. Now, when it comes to the AFC North, Cleveland and now Cincinnati, to me, they can begin making their offseason plans. I mean, the Bengals, I've heard Joe Burrow talk about if we're still in the running, I want to come back and play and maybe disrupt the Ravens season and maybe play spoiler. But Joe Burrow is perpetually hurt, Mike. Why would you try and come back and maybe save your coach's job or be a spoiler, but put your body at risk once again coming off this turf toe?
Because you're nutty. That's why they are the Bengals. That's why the Browns are the Browns. They make bad decisions, not just about personnel and drafting, but in putting Joe Burrow back out on the field. What are you, nuts? Are you crazy? You're not going to win this thing. You have no shot. All right. So you just say, hey, Joe, take a hike, sit on the bench, and watch the game and cheerlead for Joe Flacco. And that's the best you're going to get. And then the next year we'll tone it up. Hopefully we'll get some defensive players that can actually come out and tackle some people. And we won't lose 39-38 or 43-42 like they've done in the previous couple games. But no, I'm not putting him out there against this team. I'm not putting him out there against any team. It's just, hey, it's over. We're done. Goodbye.
Yep. Let Flacco finish the season. I completely concur. All right, next up, besides the Browns, one of the worst organizations, not in the NFL, in all professional sports, that would be the New York Jets, right on par with the Browns. And like the Browns, they have two quarterbacks. And when you have two quarterbacks, you have none. So Justin Fields has been sent to the bench in favor of Tyrod Taylor. The former Raven is going to start against his old team. And frankly, there's no excuse for the Ravens to even make this a ball game. I mean, this should be a blowout, Mike.
Well, I was talking to, because I wrote a column last week on salary cap and the great equalizer, salary cap, and a whole bunch of other issues. And I called a couple former head coaches, former coordinators, and one of them said to me, well, you know, they're just firing these coaches quickly. And he made some valid points. And he goes, and let me tell you something. If you start bringing in Geno Smith or Tyrod Taylor, do not pack your bags long, all right? Because you're going to be gone. Well, we'll see what's going to happen. Tyrod Taylor, that's your answer? I mean, I see Fields. I can understand that one because you take a shot and roll the dice. But no way. Tyrod Taylor, what is he, 36, 37 years old? And he's playing for one of the worst organizations in the NFL. You know, Mark Viviano called him the other day, legacy losers. Isn't that a great title?
That is.
Legacy losers. That's what they are. And the Ravens should win this game pretty easily. But you never know. And if you give a team life and you let them hang around, that's when you get upset.
Yeah, typically when you're with the Browns or the Jets and you're not Myles Garrett, you rent, you don't buy in those particular games. Not there for long.
That's true.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, this game is going to be at home. I don't know how many fans are going to show up for this Jets game. I'm sure the Jets will not be bringing any fans to Baltimore, but this should not even be close. The Ravens should be double-digit favorites all the way along.
And let me tell you something. I heard from reporters in Cleveland that they were selling Browns tickets for $1 the night before a game.
What a bargain.
$1 the night before a game. Now, the Ravens aren't in that situation, but are you really going to be entertained watching the Ravens play the Jets? Probably not. We go, Jerry, because we get paid to go. That's the bottom line. But still, if it's cold, I want to see how many fans show up for this game too.
Yeah, I think you'll be seeing a lot of empty back seats there without human beings sitting in them for sure. All right, on to Baltimore and Beyond, presented by Relief Shop. Relief Shop, Baltimore's best adult use and medical cannabis dispensary with 700 plus unique menu items and home delivery available exclusively for medical patients, courtesy of Relief Shop. They're located right there in the heart of Baltimore City on Cathedral Street. Shout out, Connor Welton does a great job. Well, they used to say, spit happens. Or maybe it was another phrase. And now it's happening again in the NFL. It's a disgusting topic, but we saw it in an AFC North grudge match before the Ravens took the field on Sunday. It was the Bengals and the Steelers. And Jalen Ramsey threw a punch at Jamar Chase. And when I saw that, I thought Jalen was acting like his old self, just overreacting to something that was said to him. But then you go to the videotape and see that Jamar Chase spit in Jalen Ramsey's face. Jamar Chase has been suspended by the NFL for one game. He's going to appeal, even though there's videotape evidence. Why is this such a common occurrence in the NFL? Now, it had been 20 years before this year since it occurred, but we had an incident in the opener between Jalen Carter of the Eagles and the Cowboys' Dak Prescott. But before that, it had been 20 years. And then it seems like it's a big problem with the NFL. Now, I remember Roberto Alomar back in 1996 spitting in umpire John Hirschbeck's face, but I can name countless episodes going back to like 97 and Bill Romanowski and J.J. Stokes or Sean Taylor and Michael Pittman. What is it with these guys spitting in another person's face, which to me is the ultimate disrespect?
Yeah, that's a young buck thing, man. The older guys, man, they would take cheap shots and they would do certain things, leg whips and so forth, and grab body parts when you're at the bottom of a pile on a fumble. But this is taking it to a new level. And to see that, and Jalen Ramsey, I mean, when I watched it, my first reaction to was like, you're out of control. Why would you do such a thing? Why would you jeopardize the Steelers? Because they already are lacking with corners and safeties, and then all of a sudden you're going to get chucked out of the game. But then when they go back and they tell you what happened, I would have punched him. There is no question. I would have took a shot at him. And if I didn't, at that time, I would have got him later in the game when he wasn't looking and then just blindsided him and rolled him out of the game. That's just the way football is played. But that is low. That is about as low as you can get. And if you do that, then you deserve what you get. And Jalen Ramsey, at first, initially, I didn't agree with you, but now, yeah, cheap shot him, take him out.
Yeah, I completely agree. At first, I thought, Jalen Ramsey has a reputation. He was doing something that caused Jamar Chase to erupt. He was also wearing like a face shield, but it still doesn't matter. I mean,
No.
I like it. I think it's disgusting enough when I'm speaking with a person who has food in their mouth or just can't control themselves and some saliva ends up on me. I feel like I need to go take a shower, but right in the face like that intentionally, it should be more than one game.
Well, I don't know what was going on because they had words previously. I mean, you watch the game, they were getting after each other a lot. So what made him do that at that particular time, I don't know. But again, once you do that, you just gotta fight. I mean, and that's just football. And you got to defend yourself. You got to defend your honor. And let me tell you something. It's an emotional game. And when somebody does that to you, yeah, you remember that. And they'll remember that again. Somewhere down the line, they'll play against each other. And they'll remember that again. And maybe they'll hash it out, but I doubt it. I know how receivers are, and I know how corners are. You do that, the memory is very, very short.
Yeah, they're not going to be roasting marshmallows by the campfire. I could say that Jalen Ramsey was spitting mad. That gives new meaning to that term, spitting mad for sure.
More of the Bmore Football Podcast right after this.
At Rice Law, we've won millions for our injury clients, taken on the biggest insurance companies, and fought in the toughest courtrooms, and made it clear, strong lawyers win strong cases. But none of that matters today. The only case that matters is yours, your fight, your future. And we're ready to go to battle for you. We don't rest on past victories. We fight every case like it's our only one. Because at Rice Law, the most important victory is the one we win for you.
Rice Law. Best advice, call Rice.
Shop Maryland's largest adult use and medical cannabis menu located at 1114 Cathedral Street in Baltimore, with medical delivery available throughout Maryland 7 days a week, only at Relief Shop.
For the last 25 years, Wood Home Insurance has been Baltimore's premier independent home, auto, and business insurance broker, representing over 30 carriers. For example, need an auto quote? Wood Home shops them all. Geico, Progressive, Travelers, AAA, Safeco, and Selective, and sends you back the best rates possible. I have personally been a client for over 2 decades, and they are world-class in service. Wood Home's owner, Rich Gottlieb, is happy to schedule a Zoom appointment with you at your convenience. Oh, and Rich is a longtime Ravens season ticket holder, so when at the game, let him know where you're tailgating. He'll drop by and say hello. So for all your needs, it's Wood Home Insurance, 410-580-2800 or woodhomeinsurance.com.
Meet the newest member of the Jack Daniels family, Jack Daniels Tennessee Blackberry. Jack Daniels takes pride in Old Number 7 being the backbone of all our flavors, and Jack Daniels Blackberry is no exception. A combination of our proprietary black liqueur and Jack Daniels' unique and unmistakable character, Jack Blackberry is a highly versatile juxtaposition of flavor. Delightfully sweet, bold, vibrant, and refreshing, Jack Blackberry is easily enjoyed with your favorite mixer, in a cocktail, or while enjoying your next football game. Jack Daniels Tennessee Blackberry is here, and as always, Jack Daniels reminds you to drink responsibly. Effective Solutions, your one-stop shop for commercial contracting. Everything from excavation and site development to emergency remediation and restoration. Effective Solutions specializes in many forms of commercial and mixed-use construction. With a dedicated staff and a commitment to quality, Effective Solutions delivers every time.
Time to move on here for the always entertaining and somewhat never controversial Mike Preston report card. Compliments of Rice Law. A reminder, if you've been hurt in a car accident, don't go at it alone. The lawyers at Rice Law know how to fight for the compensation you deserve. Protect yourself, protect your family, and remember, best advice, call Rice. Learn more by going to ricelawmd.com. We always begin the report card by checking on QB1, and that would be Lamar Jackson. We had some words to say about him earlier, but he was certainly not at his best, as we discussed. So how did you grade Lamar?
I gave him a C-, and that was probably the worst game I've seen him play in 3 years, easily. And 14 of 25 for 193 yards, sacked 5 times, 2 interceptions. He finished with a quarterback rating of 47.6. Well, how can I defend that? You played poorly, and he's the centerpiece of this offense. For him to play well, that it's a signal for the offense that they're going to play well. And when he does it, you see what happens. They struggle, but 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. He got a C-.
Was that the worst grade you've ever given him? I can't remember a C- in recent years.
It may have been. and definitely did the worst game in the last 3 years.
Okay. All right. Now to the running backs. They went with 3. No Justice Hill. How did they fare, Mike?
I gave him a C plus. I thought Derrick Henry, he had 18 carries, 103 yards. He had one run for 57 yards. Now, and you know, people keep asking me, well, why did they only get a C plus? Here's why. Take away the 59-yard run, and I'm not going to say you just dismiss it. What I'm going to say is the 59-yard run, and then he gets run down. I see a little sign of some age there. And then you take away that, and it's 18, 17 carries for whatever yards. It's not a great average. This is a team that needs an identity, all right? And whether it's running the football, throwing the football, they still don't have one. And when we talk about style points, that's what I'm alluding to, are those style points. What are you going to do? You're going to be a running team? You're going to be a passing team? We don't know yet. I thought Keaton Mitchell, 6 carries, 31 yards, effective. But again, say Flowers, 1 carry, 5 yards. Please find a way for this guy to touch the football. So they get a C plus.
Well, Mark Andrews had that big carry as well. But going back to Keaton Mitchell, 6 carries to me was not enough, Mike.
They almost forgot him again. You know, and the thing was, he was effective in that game, and they stopped using him. Spread the defense out, especially this defense, because they are a penetrating defense. They shoot the gaps. They get up the field quite often, run some misdirections, run some counters to the outside, some tosses. That's how you beat them, but you got to let them touch the ball more.
All right, on to the, again, as I say every week, much maligned offensive line. I thought, I don't know what got into you, but I thought you were rather gracious with this final grade.
They were okay. I mean, if you look at the total yards, they ran up a lot of total yards. They were effective at times, but still, 5 sacks. I think Lamar Jackson was harassed like 9 times, at least hit 9 times. And they could not contain Myles Garrett. I gave them a C minus, and they're not going to get much better. I don't care what anybody says. They're just not going to get better. And again, Jerry, they can't run the ball inside the red zone, inside the 20-yard line. You got to make big money off running plays because the field is shorter, the end zone is up on top of you, and they can't do that. And again, I go back to the size of these guys. It's about leverage, and it's about low man wins. They can't get under these guys. They can't root them out. I mean, and even go back to the tush push, the fake one where he runs around the corner.
Yeah. Check
out 77 and the other guy, Voorhees, on those plays. They're getting pushed back. They are. I watched it again this morning. So they get C minus.
Yeah, you would think, again, going back to what I said earlier with that trio of Henry, Andrews, and Ricard, they can at least get a yard in short yardage situations going forward. You would think. Right. And using Ronnie Stanley also.
Right. I agree.
All right. The wide receivers, how did they grade out, Mike?
I gave him a C. Say Flowers. He had 3 catches for 78 yards. He didn't catch a pass until he had 1 target, that 45-yard reception down the right sideline, midway in the second quarter. If he played for Kansas City, you think Andy Reid's not doing a lot of, jet sweeps, give him the ball, run, do whatever you want to do because he's the focal point of that offense. All right, touch the ball. You got to give him the ball, but they didn't give him enough. Andrews, he had the big run, the touchdown run, the tush push, the fake tush push. 3 catches for 32 yards. Not good enough. And the rest of these guys, they're just kind of like fill-ins. Hopkins, still okay. 1 catch, 11 yards. Charlie Kohler, 0 catches. T. Wallace, 0 catches. I gave him a C, but I like what Kohler and Andrews did on that play, so they get a C.
And they didn't even have Rashad Bateman, which brings and begs the question even more. Why not make Flowers more an integral part of the offense? Why not utilize DeAndre Hopkins a little bit more than you have? Flowers hasn't, again, it's every week I mentioned, this guy goes without catching a touchdown. I feel frustration boiling from this kid. I really do. There's nothing I can put my finger on, but I just sense that he's boiling inside, that he hasn't found the end zone in a while.
Well, he almost had that touchdown against the Browns. Boy,
Yeah.
he was close. And the guy kind of just grabbed him by the shoestrings and takes him down. And I'm like, this poor guy, he can't get a break. All right, he's close to getting there, but he can't get a break. But get him the ball. You got to give him his touches.
Yeah, he is an absolute threat in open space, no doubt about it. All right, on to the defensive line. What grade did Mike Preston award them?
I gave them a B+. The Browns had only 187 yards of total offense. That's a pretty good day. And again, Jerry, and I know who they're playing. I know they're the Browns.
You got to prorate it, right?
They are the Clowns. But they got pressure up front. And that's what you want. And if you can get it up the gut, you succeed. And that's why I gave them a B+.
All right. How about the linebacker core?
Linebackers, Roquan Smith, Teddy Buchanan. The best thing about those guys, they're actually playing pass defense, because at the beginning of the season, that was a weakness. But, what their strategy was, and I certainly understand it, was to keep everything in front of them, which they did. And then they just came up and made the tackles. Buchanan had 4, Smith had 4. Kyle Van Noy even got 1 sack, 2 pressures. That's a good day for Van Noy. I gave them a B+.
Yeah, look at Van Noy's sacks this year. Both of them, he was untouched on both sacks. It was like a red carpet right to the quarterback. But hey, they all count the same in the end.
They are the Browns.
Yeah, exactly. All right, on to the secondary, which opposed a pair of rookie quarterbacks.
Kyle Hamilton, 9 tackles, 1 sack, 2 passes knocked down, 3 tackles for losses. All right, that's a very good day. I don't care by whose standards. That's an excellent day. What they've done is Nate Wiggins had an interception, still missed a couple of tackles early in the game, but he did okay. Gilman is the guy. They bring him in and they move Starks through the back end, and Starks isn't giving up much, especially when you face 2 rookie quarterbacks. Not very good. So I gave them a B. I'm still not sold on their secondary yet, but they're climbing the charts. They get a B, and of course they played against Judy. So no, I'm not giving them a high mark, but
I thought Awuzie had a heck of a day and deflected a key pass at the end, and they didn't miss a beat without Marlon Humphrey.
Marlon who?
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
No, Awuzie played well. I mean, he knocked down a couple passes. Is he the answer? I don't know. I'd like to see him matched up against some good receivers, and they will when they play the Bengals, despite who the quarterback is. But we'll see what happens then. And that's the game I'm kind of waiting for, just to kind of rate their secondary. So we'll see. But overall, I give him a B.
All right, on to special teams. We discussed the snafus, but then you have the rookie kicker, Tyler Loop, who keeps impressing, Mike.
Hey, man, that's why at the end of the game, I'm just jogging him out on the field and say, hey, win the game. And again, Jerry, we could talk about how great he is. We really won't know how great he is until he gets to that big playoff game, and he's going to Denver, and there's like 3 or 4 inches of snow out there, and that wind is blowing. And, hey, Tyler, look, what do you got? Can you go out and win the game for us? That's when we'll know if he has replaced the icon, the legend, Justin Tucker.
Yeah.
But so far, so good. I think his 2 misses have been over 50 yards, so that's a pretty good day. I'll take that. Jordan Stout had a nice day. Again, it came down to those muffled punt returns, and, of course, the offsides. So I gave them a C.
Yeah, you're right. Tyler Loop, much like Lamar Jackson, will be evaluated by the way he performs in January and February, not what he does in a game in November.
Right.
On to coaching. How did they grade out?
Oh, I gave them a B. I thought they were prepared physically to go toe-to-toe with the Browns, because it was going to be that kind of game. I mean, whenever you play in a division, the AFC North, you know what you're going to get. It's a dogfight. Their offense if you can call it that, was offensive. That's what it was. Not very good. Quarterback was off. Their offensive line, they struggle, but that happens to them because they're not very athletic up front. And then they played the Browns, who were very good. But I thought overall they were ready. And Zach Orr, what he did against rookie quarterbacks, I would do the same thing. You give them an assortment of looks. You blitz, you bring 5, you bring 6, you bring everybody, and you make them say, "Oh my gosh, what is going on here?" And he did exactly what he was supposed to do. So was it sound? Yeah. They didn't give up any big plays. So I gave them a B. And the trick play at the end, great call, great play, and it was well worth it.
Well, I know in the Sun, you traditionally do not grade the officials, but our executive producer, Chip, loves when you apply a grade to the officiating. I didn't see many tweets criticizing them. Haven't heard many complaints coming out of that game. How would you evaluate the Zebras?
No, they weren't their usual goofball selves because it was that kind of game. You know, there wasn't a lot of tough throws down the field. And usually where you have the squabbles at are usually over the pass interference calls because you never know which way they're going to go. So you didn't see many of those. We didn't have any of those, oh, they sacked Lamar and a great tackle. Nah, we didn't have any of that. So it was a game that just kind of played out on its own. So if I gave them a grade, I would probably give the officials a B. They weren't a factor. And that's what I want in a game. Yeah. I don't want the officiating to be a factor in the outcome of the game. And if you stay out of it, you get a high mark for me.
Yeah, it's like an offensive lineman. You just don't want to hear their name called much.
Yep, that's very true.
All right, the Ravens are even Steven at 500. On to the Jets we go. We want to thank all our sponsors for their loyal dedication to this Bmore Football Podcast, including Rich Gottlieb over at Wood Home Insurance. Go find him at a tailgate before the Jets game. We want to thank you for watching and thank you for listening, either on BaltimoreSun.com or here via, obviously, Bmore Sports Pod. Until next week, be kind, be real, and make sure to be back. It's another episode next week of the Bmore Football Podcast. We are out.
The Bmore Football Podcast is brought to you by Rice Law.